case in comparison to your solo effects by iSkin. So if you're gonna be purchasing it, don't say, "Oh, well, I gave it a bad review. It's a terrible case." It isn't terrible. It's just not as good as your iSkin solo effects. Having said that, some things I liked about the case: the polymer is thicker all over, corners, across the back. Even the lay on the table design is actually a little bit higher than the solo. The only place the solo effects has the polymer actually is the same thickness is here on the corners with that little, you can see the lines there. That is actually thicker polymer, which is actually equal to what's on here all over. So that, good job. I actually kind of like it. It's going to give you that slight little bit more protection, not a ton, and it also just gives it a very smooth, clean look to it, which I'm fairly much a fan of. If you can see my cases, they're not like, this is the most interesting design that I have on any of my cases, is the Capsule Rebel, and to a lesser extent the solo effects. The cutouts are gorgeous on this, dead center, no issues with those whatsoever. The volume rocker switch and the sleep awake button drove me up the wall. These buttons are not comfortable to push. You are having to really, like, I should just be able to just tap and come. Look, I'm applying a good amount of pressure. I have to, there you go. Like, I should not have to push down that hard to get this button. I'm actually, like, you see, it's putting an indent into my finger. That's how hard I'm pushing on this button on the case just to get it turned on from the sleep wake. I shouldn't have to do that. Like, that defeats the purpose of having the thing on there. That was not well thought through on the case, on the part of Incipio. Bad guys, need to work on that one. Hopefully in the next version of this, you'd fix that and maybe introduce something similar to the solo effects with these raised buttons that are a lot easier to push, a lot more tactile. You know they're there, and they feel better. This feels flimsy. You're pushing on it, and I'm actually pushing slightly down on it before I actually touch the button, and I can feel where it actually, you see, the case is moving. It's actually away from the case itself, so there's room inside of here for dust to get in there, for debris, for anything that, if once it's in there, could scratch up the phone. I want the case to be sitting there nice and tight, not being able to move around. Another case in point to prove that, I can hold on to this. I'm just lightly pulling on this. I'm pulling it back. I don't want to be taking this polymer, this sharp edge, and rubbing against the chrome. You're going to end up scratching it, and it's going to be inadvertent because you're just holding it. Solo effects, I didn't have that issue with it. It stayed snug on the phone. Yeah, if I did pull, it's gonna move because it is it's a pliable substance. It's a pliable polymer. But this, like, look, that is so easy to pull apart. It shouldn't be that simple. It shouldn't be that easy to pull it apart. And you can see there, up in the top corner, there is the zag coming off, but that happens on this case as well, so that is not something I was upset at with this case. It had nothing to do with the case whatsoever. It's the way I put the zag on. It doesn't sit right, and it pushes it up every time. That was my big issue, is that was just those buttons. They drove me nuts, and after 2.5 days of having it on there, I just went, I'm done, it has to come off. And I put this candy shell back on there just because I knew what the case was, well, I know what all the cases are like, but I just got it, and I wanted to try the case back out. Small point, really is nothing to really mention. I'm only mentioning it because I'm a graphic designer, and I kind of sat there and went, why did you guys do this? Can you see Incipio there? Barely? Yeah, why? Why would you guys put it over the one place on a very minimalist phone where there's text? Why? Why would you hide your own logo? You embarrassed? Like, I don't understand why you do that. Yes, Spec did it on this case, but they didn't darken the name so you'd be able to see it. It's supposed to be translucent, so you'd see right through it. You knew it was there if you ran your finger across it. The iSkin does the exact same thing, but they intentionally darkened this down so you could read Incipio, and then put Incipio over text. Why didn't you put it up here, down here? Like, if there's a ton of surface area, you could have put Incipio on this phone to let people know, or at least advertise your own product. If somebody said, hey, what's that case? Or it's sitting there, they're looking at it going, hey, who makes that? They're going to have to bend right down and look at it to find out who made the case. Guys, come on. This is your product. Promote it better. Design it a little bit better to promote yourselves. Again, small little detail, but me being a graphic designer, I kind of sat there and scratched my head and went, what the hell were you guys thinking? Overall, this isn't a terrible case. It does add some solid protection to it, actually a little bit more than you're going to get out of the iSkin. Drawbacks, it is not as well constructed as your iSkin Solo or Solo FX. It's a little bit more flimsy. The buttons are a pain in the butt to use. Aside from that, you know what, this is a pretty good polymer case. Great first effort from you guys for putting one of these out. I don't know if iSkin got it right the first time, because they released a Solo and then there's a Solo FX. I only have this version, so they could have got it wrong the first time around. But if you guys do end up watching this video, take note, make these buttons better. Do that, you're going to have a case that will really be just as good, if not better, than this iSkin case. Tighten it up, add some better buttons, you have yourselves an amazing little polymer case. If you just want a throwaway, go right ahead, get it. You're not going to have any major complaints with it if it's just going to be your throwaway case. If you want to use it for a permanent case because you love polymers, get the Solo. There's my 2 cents. This is Kevin. This is Nomad Design signing out from north of the border. See you later.